Vasistha continued. This seemingly endless stream of ignorance can be crossed over only by the constant company of the holy ones. From such company there arises wisdom concerning what is worth seeking and what is to be avoided. It does require a degree of immersion, this teaching. There's one reason why I'm doing these videos. It seems like a rather eccentric task perhaps, but it's so easy to forget the true nature of what is going on. And the Yoga Vasistha is recommending the constant company of the holy ones. Well, that'd be wonderful if there were people who were living in this awareness all the time. But very often, if that awareness is not constant, then you get caught up in some psychodynamic, and it's rather an ideal situation which the Yoga Vasistha is referring to here. But not having the constant company of the holy ones, all we can do really is remind ourselves of this teaching as much as possible. And in some ways this is why it's great that the Yoga Vasistha is so long. It's such a big book. We tend to want things as quickly as possible nowadays. Look, just give me the essence and give it to me now. Well, you can get the essence and you can get it now, but you have to keep coming back to it. It's as I said before, the light switch can go on in an instant, but you have to keep coming back to the light switch. It's got a very fast dimmer on it, and you need to keep coming back to it. It needs to be a proactive, continuous effort. Otherwise we just get caught up in identifying with what's going on in terms of the demands of daily life. So yes, we need to use whatever means we can to remind ourselves to direct ourselves to the reality that is happening all the time. What Vasistha is doing now is he's giving us a summary of what was described earlier as the 7 states or planes of wisdom in chapter 118. From such company there arises wisdom concerning what is worth seeking and what is to be avoided. Then there arises the pure wish to attain liberation. This leads to serious inquiry. Then the mind becomes subtle because the inquiry thins out the mental conditioning. As the result of the rising of pure wisdom, one's consciousness moves in the reality. Then the mental conditioning vanishes and there is non-attachment. Bondage to actions and their fruits ceases. The vision is firmly established in truth, and the apprehension of the unreal is weakened. Even while living and functioning in this world, he who has this unconditioned vision does what has to be done as if he's asleep, without thinking of the world and its pleasures. After some years of living like this, one is fully liberated and transcends all these states. He is liberated while living. But it has been pointed out before that this practice needs to be ongoing because there's still the potential to get caught up in unreality. Such a liberated sage is not elated at what he gets, nor does he grieve for what he has not. O Ram, in you also the conditioning of the mind has been weakened. Strive to know the truth. By attaining knowledge of the self, which is infinite consciousness, you'll go beyond grief, delusion, birth and death, happiness and unhappiness. The self being one and undivided, you have no relatives, and therefore no sorrow born of such false relationship. The self being one and undivided, there is nothing else worth attaining or desiring. This self undergoes no change and does not die. When the pot is broken, the space within it is not broken. When mental conditioning is overcome and the mind is made perfectly tranquil, the illusion that deludes the ignorant comes to an end. The illusion doesn't really come to an end. It's the pull of it is weakened. It's we still need to operate within it. It is only as long as this illusion, Maya, is not clearly understood that it generates this great delusion. But once it is clearly understood, it is seen as the infinite, and it becomes the source of happiness and the realization of the absolute Brahman. Well, that's a good point, isn't it? I just said that the illusion still remains, but its power changes. But if you start understanding it, perceiving it as the absolute Brahman, then you're entering into a great realization. It is only for the sake of scriptural instruction that one speaks of the self, Brahman, etc. But in truth one alone is. It is pure consciousness, not embodied being. It is, whether one knows or not, whether one is embodied or without a body. All the unhappiness you see in this world belongs to the body. The self which is not grasped by the senses is not touched by sorrow. In the self there is no desire. The world appears in it without any wish or intention on its part. Thus, O Ram, through my precepts the false notion of a creation and its existence has been dispelled. Your consciousness has become pure, devoid of duality. Yeah, I think the whole notion of illusion or delusion is good also to set that aside as well. And that's the end of section 3, the section dealing with the apparent creation.